The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Vector of the Hegemony delivered his ultimatum. His chitinous plates gleamed under the station's artificial lights, reflecting the arrogance that had defined his species' rule for 3 millennia. Humanity will present itself for judgment within 1 solar rotation, he announced, his translator converting his clicking mandibles into standard galactic. They will arrive unarmed in a diplomatic vessel to answer for their unauthorized expansion into Sector 447. Failure to comply will result in immediate sanctions and potential extermination. The assembled representatives from 47 species murmured their approval. Humanity was young, barely 2 centuries into spacefaring civilization. They had no allies, no military reputation, and certainly no right to challenge the established order. The hegemony had crushed species far more advanced than these pink-skinned mammals. Councillor Jara, a crystalline being from the Lumina Collective, pulsed with concern. Perhaps we should offer them guidance rather than threats. The humans have shown remarkable adaptability. Adaptability? Vector's laugh was a grating sound. They are barbarians playing with technology they barely understand. 1 diplomatic shuttle, Ambassador Jara. That is all they need to send. We will be merciful if they show proper deference. The message was transmitted to Earth's outer colonies, then to the Sol system itself. The Council expected groveling, perhaps defiance followed by swift capitulation. What they did not expect was silence. For 20 hours nothing came from human space. No diplomatic channels opened. No frightened transmissions begging for mercy, just silence. Then, at the edge of the Nexus system where the Council station orbited, the sensors screamed. A quantum rupture tore through reality itself, space folding and twisting as something enormous began to emerge. The station's defense grid activated automatically, weapon systems targeting the anomaly. But as the rupture stabilized and the ship came through, every weapon locked in place, their targeting computers unable to calculate firing solutions. It was too big. The UNSS Titan's hammer materialized in full view of the station, and the galaxy held its breath. The warship dwarfed every vessel in the system combined. 15 kilometers of angular, brutal architecture that looked less like a ship and more like a mobile fortress, designed by a species that had learned warfare before they learned mercy. Its hull was a matte black composite that seemed to absorb light, broken only by the running lights that traced patterns like veins of molten gold across its surface. Unlike the elegant, curved designs favored by galactic species, the Titan's hammer was all hard angles and weapon emplacements. Rail cannons the size of skyscrapers lined its flanks. Missile batteries capable of glassing planets from orbit bristled from its superstructure. And at its prow, a weapon that made even the hegemony's flagship pale in comparison, a plasma lance that could crack a moon in half. But it was the escorts that truly drove the message home. Emerging from the quantum wake came 20 human destroyers, each one larger than the hegemony's dreadnoughts, forming a defensive perimeter around their flagship with military precision that spoke of thousands of hours of combat drills. The council chamber erupted in chaos. "This is an act of war," Vector shrieked, his composure shattered. They were ordered to send diplomats. A communication channel opened, and for the first time the council heard a human voice transmitted fleet-wide. "Attention, Galactic Council. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Nations Space Service. You requested Earth's presence. We have arrived." Her voice was calm, almost cordial, but underneath it lay something that made every predator species in the chamber recognize a fellow apex hunter. That is a warship," Vector stammered. You ordered us to present ourselves," Admiral Chen interrupted. "You did not specify how. Ambassador Vector, let me educate you on human history. When someone summons us with threats of extermination, we don't send diplomats, we send a message." On every screen in the council chamber, tactical data began flowing. Ship specifications, weapons capabilities, and most terrifying of all, fleet positions. The humans had 40 more ships just like the Titan's hammer positioned at strategic points throughout galactic space, each one capable of reaching any council world within 3 jumps. "You claim we are barbarians," Chen continued. "Perhaps you're right. We spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other before we ever reached the stars. We built weapons that could end our entire species in minutes. We survived them. We learned from them, and when we finally left our cradle, we brought that knowledge with us. Not because we wanted war, but because we remembered what happens to the unprepared. Jara's crystalline form pulsed rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. Admiral Chen, surely this display is unnecessary. Is it, Counselor? Chen's tone sharpened. Your hegemony has destroyed 17 species in the last millennium for unauthorized expansion. 17 civilizations erased because they wanted to grow, to survive, to thrive. You expected us to come begging, to submit to your judgment like frightened children. The Titan's hammer rotated slowly, its weapons arrays tracking every major vessel in the system simultaneously. It was a demonstration of targeting capability that should have been impossible. The processing power required to maintain so many firing solutions at once exceeded anything in the galactic arsenal. We did not come here to negotiate our right to exist, Chen stated flatly. We came to establish a new reality. Humanity will expand where we choose. We will settle worlds we deem suitable, and we will defend ourselves against any threat with overwhelming force. This is not a request for permission. This is a statement of fact. Vektar's mandibles clacked frantically. You cannot threaten the entire council. We have fleets, armies, and we have this. The Titan's hammer's plasma lance powered up, a whine audible even through the vacuum, energy readings spiking off every chart. It targeted an uninhabited moon 3 million kilometers away and fired. The beam lanced across space in an instant. The moon didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that not even debris remained. The shockwave rattled ships across the system. The council chamber fell into absolute silence. We don't want war, Admiral Chen said quietly. We want to be left alone to build our civilization in peace. But if you force our hand, understand this. Humans don't fight to win territory. We don't fight for resources. We fight to ensure that the threat never rises again. We fight total war, and we are very, very good at it. The communication channel closed. The Titan's hammer and its escorts maintained their position, weapons hot, a promise and a warning carved in steel and plasma. Vektar looked around the chamber at his fellow counselors, seeing his own fear reflected in every alien face. They had expected diplomats, soft words, and easy capitulation. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, a species that had climbed from their cradle world not despite their violent history, but because of it, the vote was unanimous. Sector 447 was officially recognized as human territory. All sanctions were immediately lifted. As the Titan's hammer powered its quantum drives for departure, one thought echoed through every mind in the council. They had just learned why humans don't send diplomats when threatened. They send a reminder of why threatening them was a mistake in the first place.